Hello, everyone, and welcome back. Today, we are looking at the aquatic terrain armored transport, also known as the AT-AT Swimmer. This war vehicle was used by the Galactic Empire, designed to be the aquatic equivalent of the land-based AT-AT Walker. They were piloted by specially trained Imperial Army pilots. Okay, for our characteristics here on Wikipedia, the AT-AT Swimmer was manufactured in a joint venture between Quat Drive Yards and the Hydrosphere Corporation and was derived from extreme modifications to the standard AT-AT to be had or that had been executed by the Imperial Army garrison on Cabria. The command deck was attached by a broad to a broad area of the ship, which contained passengers. It operated in deep sea operations alongside TIE fighter boats and aquatic assault stormtroopers, and could be found in Imperial aquatic military bases. The AT-AT Swimmer could also be deployed by the Y-85 Titan dropship. It could carry 40 troops, and its cargo capacity was 600 kilograms. Its shell-like armor was designed to withstand and protect the vehicle from crushing pressures of deep-sea water, the effects of salt water, and blaster fire. Its head was capable of pivoting, firing arcs in all directions. The AT-AT Swimmer had two modified heavy laser cannons. Much like the land counterpart, its main body was broader than that of the AT-AT to accommodate the four additional repulsor lift engines to keep it afloat. These four repulsor lift engines produced a powerful field strong enough to repel any object on the craft's ventral section, but it could be penetrated by strong swimmers where it was non existent. By 137 ABY, the design was heavily modified. The version used by Darth Kratz Galactic Empire could operate underwater and had shields. It included at least six laser cannons, including a rear double laser cannon to stem attacks from the rear, and was fitted with a launch bay containing at least five Shark underwater fighters. The new design looked similar to the old one, although sleeker in design. The command bridge was also replaced by another similar to the standard AT-AT's command bridge. Additionally, these vehicles were known to have transported Sith Lords to several occasions, or on several occasions, I'm sorry. All right, in the Galactic Civil War, the basis of the eventual aquatic terrain armored transport was created via the AT-AT Swimmer, which had been extreme modifications to the mech that were ordered by the Imperial Army garrison on Cabria. Calabria. This eventually ended up mass produced, with some eventually being placed on call, which proved enough or provided enough of a problem to the rebels' efforts on the planet that General Carlos Recan made a note while reviewing the official field manual for the Imperial military. Imperial Handbook, a commander's guide, that they will need to import attack subs from Mon Calamari. Sith Imperial genocide. Over a century later, at least one upgraded AT-AT swimmer was employed during the genocide of Mon Calamari on Dak in 137 ABY, where it was used to transport Darth Azard and Sith scientist Val Isin to the uh, Saharis Trench. Isin had created a sea leviathan there, and the two used the Force to awaken it and command it to slaughter the Mon Calamari prisoners of the Imperial Extermination Camp 28. and later search out and destroy every Mount Kamari in its path. Okay, so obviously this is a heavily modified standard AT all-terrain attack transport. Um, and being able to see it in use over a century later is kind of commendable. So the appearances here are Battle of the Golden Sun, Death Hunter, Star Wars Adventure Journal 9, Star Wars Legacy, Fight Another Day, and we have it from the Imperial Source Book, which I believe is a West End Games book, Galaxy Guide 9, Fragments from the Rim, Dark Empire Source Book, which I know is a West End Games, Imperial Source Book, second edition. Again, there's our West End Games. Alliance Intelligence Reports. Everything here harkens back to being from the West End Games book line. So, all right. So now, when we bring this into the actual West End Games uh, stats and all that, the AT-AT Swimmer, aquatic terrain, armored transport, Walker scale. It's a length of about 22.3 meters. It is a repulsor lift skill for operating it. So if you're trying to operate it, it is repulsor lift skill. Crew of 5, gunners of 1, skeleton. You can run it with 3 people, but it's going to be a plus 10 to all your rolls in relation towards AT-AT Swimmer. Okay, we can carry 40 troops or 5 wave skimmers. Cargo capacity is 600 kilograms, has full coverage, and it can move about 80 kilometers an hour. Has a body strength of 60, so that is very resilient here in the Star Wars universe. We do have 2 heavy laser cannons. They're both front. Let's see, we have vehicle blasters for our skill. Fire control is going to be a 2D. Damage is going to be a 60, so that's pretty reputable. Fairly deadly for a lot of other vehicles. All right, we have 2 medium blasters. These are going to be in the rear turret, as we can see in our bottom picture here. Going to be using a single gunner back there. Fire control of 2D, damage is 3D. Now the swimmer's head is mounted on a pivoting neck, which can turn to face the left and right for the fire arcs. And that swimmer may move its head 1 fire arc per turn to the left or to the right. So keep that in mind. Now, I would say that this should have, or these should be somewhat turreted. Looks like in the top picture that the front cannon is on a turret. I'm going to guess the bottom one as well. But to add to it, if you can pivot the head, that would give you the ability to maybe on one of them, maybe fire behind you or something. So I'm throwing that out there. Not 100% certain if you would or would not be able to, but that is going to be my guess, that you could maybe pivot and fire off in one. One of them might be able to fire facing the opposite direction. But with that being said, it's another one of those. It's a vessel we don't typically get to see. Um, and I think it makes some sense that we don't typically get to see it, because there's no sense that in canon we've ever really needed to see it. Although, uh, if anybody had known anything about any of this stuff, they could have maybe thrown this out in the last trilogy or something like that. But nobody has any idea of this stuff, especially in Hollywood. They don't care about all this stuff. They'll, if someone shows it to them, maybe, but I don't think they have any idea. Um, there's some people that play Dungeons and Dragons and stuff like that, but I think a lot of the directors and all that, I think when it comes to a lot of this stuff, they're fairly clueless. Um, and yet, it's interesting. You had George Lucas, who probably could have helped them add some of this stuff and bring it into canon, but again, something that we don't typically get. But with that being said, and again, I kind of step up on the high horse here. Uh, you know, so many people don't get this information because this is stuff that we've had for years in the, whether it's comic books or it's the role playing games specifically, because there's a lot of the stuff that was brought in on the role in the comic books that was then later on brought into the role playing game. So we get to see some of these odd vehicles that aren't so well known. So with that, thanks for stopping by and visiting. It's always appreciated when you stop by. Hope you have a wonderful day, and we'll see you in the next video.